Diner 49. It's one of those friendly kind of joints. Has all the regulars. We all know each other from way back, and an occasional newbie. Well, I love the place, and I hate it. Couldn't miss it. Gotta be there every day, but many a time I leave with my blood pressure up, and it ain't the food, which is real good and greasy. It's all the pesky regulars and their conversation. Always challenging each other with heated debates and good arguments and stuff. Head, blame it, why don't they just stay home and fight with their wives or husbands or kids or dogs or something? Of course, I can't always stay out of the fray. I leave here swearing I'll never do it again. I guess secretly I love it, but it is nice when the occasional visitor, or newbie as we call them, drops in. Things quiet down a bit then. Ken just walked in. He sells insurance, always bugging everybody about life insurance and stuff. You know you're not going to live forever, he'll say. Hey Ken, how the heck are you? Well, Buck, I'm doing great. I see you beat me here this morning. Hey old guy, how about some brain food to get you going? You're looking a little sluggish. Thinking, give me a break. I answer, make it quick. Okay. There were these three guys on the road way later than they had intended, so they decided to get a room for the night. They caught the next exit and wearily walked into an old but decent-looking hotel. The desk clerk charged them an even $30. So to divide that evenly, they each paid how much? Thinking there must be a trick, I paused for a second. Okay, $10. Right. So after they go up to their room, the clerk realizes she's overcharged them and tells the bellboy, here, take this $5 up to room 247. I overcharged those guys. On his way up, the bellboy thinks, how do I split $5 with three guys? Forget it. They don't know they're getting anything back, so I'll just put $2 in my pocket and give them $3. So that's what he did, and they were all happy. So if they got $3 back, how much did they each pay? Well, there must be a trick here somewhere, but looks to me like they each paid $9. Very good. And 9 times 3 is 27. Then there's the $2 in the boy's pocket. How much does that make? 29. Well, then what happened to the other $1? They started with 30. Oh, come on, Ken. You know I'm not good at these. You're disgusting, and I know you're not going to tell me till tomorrow either, are you? Ah, it's good for you to think, Buck. Sarah, grab me some more coffee when you get a chance, and tell Jack to hurry up with my sausage. I'm running late today. Sarah can't let that one go. You're always running late, Buck, and you never leave when you say you're gonna. I think you love this place. Ah, shut up and bring me my coffee, I say, and almost let a smile slip out. The preacher just walked in and ordered his oatmeal, orange juice, and coffee. Same thing every time. He'll start something in a minute, but for now he's reading the newspaper. Always reading, that guy. I guess he preaches at the big church downtown. I don't go to his church if I ever go. He is a likable feller, but he can get your blood to boiling. Speaking of preacher, there was a fella from his church used to come in here on a pretty regular basis. Full beard, dark pants, khaki shirt, suspenders. Always looked pretty clean, but didn't change his clothing style very much. Oh, and he always had that little black book. His name was Kermis Dawking. Though he didn't get around much socially, he was pretty well known and liked. Kind of an eccentric, if you ask me. Not weird, just eccentric. They say he actually lived in a real nice treehouse that he built himself. When Kermis would come in here, he'd always sit over in the corner, but facing in toward the rest of us. He'd always read his black book while he was waiting for his breakfast. Every once in a while, someone would get him to talking, and he'd inevitably get around to telling a story about his long, interesting, and productive life. I swear, every story he told was always heartwarming and made you wish you were a part of it. Well, Kermis doesn't come in here anymore. He died here several weeks ago. They say a kid found him sitting against a tree with his black book open in his lap. Guess his old ticker just said, I'm done. You know, he wasn't like an everyday fixture around here. Now, Ken is in here every morning. His place would be empty if he was all of a sudden gone. But Kermis, we'll miss him, just realizing we'll never get to hear another story from him or ever get to see him in his black book over in that corner again. But what I really wanted to tell you was about his funeral. Sounds exciting, right? Well, like I said, he was well known and liked, if not dearly loved, around here. But what we didn't know was how well he was known and loved all over the world. His funeral was on a Friday morning, but by Wednesday all the hotel rooms in our town, which isn't many, were not only booked, but already filled, and visitors from all over were swarming our little town. I understand it was really good for business. He was just a quiet, unassuming, but likable guy. No one here would ever have imagined how many lives this humble man had touched. I went to his funeral like nearly half the people in our town, but I had this funny feeling there wasn't going to be much room, even though Preacher's Church is the biggest one in town, so I got there real early to make sure I got a seat. It was a good thing I did. I couldn't see it because I was inside where people were packed in real tight, but they said people were standing outside all around the church and even down the block. Preacher arranged a PA system so people outside could hear. There was such a diverse group of people that got up and spoke about how he touched their lives that my head is still reeling. How could one man do so much? There was black people from the U.S. and from countries all around the world. Indians, Orientals, Hispanics, Asians, preachers, politicians, missionaries, corporate executives, government officials, common folk. It seems that from the least to the greatest, everyone was alike to Kermis, and he had touched their lives personally. It seems he had time for everyone. There was one old black lady from a third world country that came to tell how their little starving, dying village was transformed into a prosperous exporter of lumber because Kermis had raised the funds and bought a little lumber mill, helped set it up, and trained their people to run it manually and how to manage a business. While he was there, in his spare time, he would play with the children, help fix houses, or huts at the time, and with an interpreter tell stories of his travels and read stories from his little black book. There was one formerly very successful white man who had been a rabid racist, who because of Kermis' influence on his life over a number of years had given his life to working with inner city youth, and now, with several partners of differing races, had a very talented gymnastics team that went all over the country doing exhibition shows to tell others what could be done when you really try and to raise funds for their inner city work. Then Jim Stangby, our high school phys ed teacher, who told how when he was quite young his daddy had left them. His mom was raising his family alone, and hurting as he was, he'd started really rebelling. His mom was exasperated and at the end of herself, worried where her son would end up. Kermis had seemingly just bumped into Jim, befriended him, helped him through a real rough spot in his life, helped him believe that he could be somebody, and spent hours with him just being his friend. Now Jim tries to give that back by touching lives as a teacher. Well, needless to say, there weren't very many dry eyes in that church, and even I, as tough and hard-hearted as I think I am, couldn't hold back a few tears. You know, I'm not really young anymore, but I want to see if I can't reach out and touch a few more lives than I have up till now.